Hey everybody, KC here. So I just finished doing an interview with Carla Hall, and I was talking to Carla Hall because she is the keynote speaker at the upcoming National Grocers Association show in Las Vegas. She's be speaking on Sunday, March 10th, and I, I wanted to talk to her a little bit about what she was going to talk to people about. And she's got a fascinating background, right? She has been on Top Chef and Top Chef All Stars. She was on the Chew. She does specials on the Food Network. She's got cookbooks. And I have to say, she was about as delightful an interview subject as I have ever had on Morning News Beat. She was just so much fun and so interesting. And I think the message that she is going to bring to people who go to NGA is really, really going to be a great one and really, really timely because she's going to focus on food and the way food connects us all. And again, I found her utterly delightful. I hope you do too. Please enjoy my conversation with Carla Hall. Carla Hall, welcome to Morning News Beat. Thanks for doing this.
Thank you, Kevin. It's really great to be here.
So I'm really looking forward to your keynote at the National Grocers Association, March 10th in Las Vegas. And I think I'm really jazzed about it because as I was doing a little research before we sat down to do this, one of the thing that immediately grabbed my attention is a line on your website in the About Carla Hall where it says, she believes food connects us all. And to me, those are the magic words. And sometimes, to be honest, words I think that food retailers don't necessarily pay enough attention to, that they're so focused on efficiency that they're not thinking about the magic of food. So talk a little bit about that and what kind of got you to believe that food connects us all? Were you born with that, or is that an evolution?
I have to say, I was born with it, but I didn't know it. And
Okay.
I'm going to say I was born with it because I'm part of a family and the culture of my family where we are connected through food. And
Where are you from?
sometimes
Wait, can I ask where you're from?
I'm from Nashville, Tennessee.
Okay.
And my grandmothers were very good cooks. My father was a very good cook. My mother was an efficient cook in that she made 5 things, but so much happened around the table. And I also have to say, I'm at the tail end of the baby boomers. I'll be 60 this year. So a lot happened in the kitchen. And it wasn't until I started cooking and I started sort of expanding this connection to the food community. And that has always been my point of view when I'm cooking for people, because I am thinking about what I can make for them, especially when I was catering. What can I make for them that will connect this person with their guest at this time so that it is memorable?
Well, you started out as a CPA and then became a model, not necessarily what I would think of as being the traditional entrance lane to being in the food, to being so connected to food.
Kevin, what's traditional? No, I'm just kidding. True. But so my path, and I have to say, I wanted to do theater. And the reason I'm mentioning that, so when you look at my trajectory, it's a bit of performance in pretty much everything I do, not necessarily in accounting. I ended up majoring in accounting because I didn't get into the acting conservatory that I wanted to go into. And so I just said, okay, I like my accounting teacher. Let me do this.
Where did you want to go? I'm just curious.
I wanted to go to Boston University.
Okay.
Because they were going to defer my admissions, and I'm like, no, we're not doing that. And then fortunately, I ended up going to Howard, which I loved, and I majored in accounting, and I did not love that. And so when I quit and I decided to go to Paris to model, it was the bridge between what I knew I didn't want to do and what I eventually wanted to do. But the main thing was I didn't want to be 40 and hate my job. So at 20, you're more agile. I'm like, well, what am I going to do at 20? Let me fact find. And that's what brought me to food. I mean, the intention was to find a thing. And I would have never thought it was food. I love to eat, but I didn't cook. I didn't start cooking until I was, 22? or so. Like I was not good.
The French food culture, I would imagine, maybe helped shape that a little bit.
Absolutely. I mean, it was the attention that was placed on food. It was, and you talk about food connects us. It was the late and long dinners that, people would just languish over conversation and not really eating a lot, but it really was about talking to each other.
Yeah.
And yes, it was delicious food, but the purpose of the dinner table was the conversation, you
Yeah.
know.
So, so you found your way into the food business when you came back to the States, as I understand it, and you got into the catering business.
Yes, I did. I'm a recovered caterer. I just have to say, shout out to all the amazing caterers. We're food movers. They have to move that food 4 times from the kitchen to the venue, and then from the venue and then back again. They're out of the van. Oh my gosh, it's a food mover. But yes, I was a caterer. But what was so amazing about catering when you're putting together that menu and you're talking to somebody. And I always said I was the psychic chef because I wanted to find the connection to the person to make the dish that they didn't realize that they wanted. And when I would have some surprise thing, I'm like, I don't know why I need to make these cookies or why I need to make this blah, blah, blah. And then the person saying to me, oh my gosh, how did you know? My mother made these things. That was the best compliment.
Yeah. Surprise and delight in food is like an enormous weapon. So, I mean, that's interesting though, because you were connecting with the community of people that you were working for as a caterer, which to me, that is similar to what a really good food store does, right? You figure
Yeah,
out the community and figure out not just what they want, not just what they need, but also what they don't know they want, don't know they need, but you can get there a little bit ahead of them.
that's exactly right. And when I tell you, one of my favorite things to do, and I travel a lot, the one thing I do is to go to a grocery store. Everywhere I visit, I don't care if it's Cape Town, if it's Harare, Zimbabwe, if it's London, if I'm in Greece, if I'm in various cities in the country, I always go to a grocery store, and it's been my thing ever since I went away and I was modeling.
Yeah.
One of the things that I would do is go to the Safeway in London. I would go to these various Safeways, and I would get back to the house where I was staying with friends, and like, what did you do today? Oh, I went to a Safeway, and I got to the end, and I didn't have any money, but that was okay because I enjoyed
Yeah.
I enjoyed walking around, and it's some random neighborhood. And that tells me so much about the people and the community, because look at their dessert aisles. What do these people eat? What do they enjoy? Who are the people? Look at who's shopping. It is the best place to people watch. And so being in a grocery store is like the first place that I get to understand a culture. And so that's why it's so important for that grocery store to reflect the culture of its community.
So for that to me is a great message to send to the retailers who are going to be at your keynote, right? That if your store looks like everybody else's store and your store has only the same products that everybody else carries, then you've given away what should be your advantage.
Exactly.
Yeah.
100%.
So when I ask, I'm just curious. So you said you'd go to grocery. So real quick. If I say, what was your favorite grocery store you've ever been to in all your world travels? What comes to your mind?
Oh my gosh, Harrods.
Okay.
In the basements of Harrods downstairs, where you have like the groceries, and you also have the prepared foods, and you get something special. You have the cookie section, the tea section, the coffee section. What? Yes,
So that's a big store. When
that's a
you
big.
think about a small store, like a
Yep.
little
Well,
place, what would that be?
the small store, and that's a local store for me. The small store that I love to go to is Waxhel's. It's
And
an
that's in
Indian
Washington, D.C.
in Washington, D.C. It is amazing. And I'm going to tell you why. And everything that I described that's at Harrods in terms of the foods that you can buy as well as the groceries, they have it.
Wow.
I know the person who makes the menus, who is in the back cooking those meals and packaging them and putting them out. I know that I can go there and get really fresh meat. I know the butcher there. I know that they have the fresh produce and the way it's stacked. When I go into the store, it's being greeted and being asked. And then when I have a menu and they're like, what can I help you with? And I'm like, well, this is what I'm doing. And I'm trying to find blah, blah, blah. I'm like, hey, have you thought about this?
Hmm.
Right? That interaction is just amazing and bar none to anything. I mean, because they become part of your family. They become part of the people, like consultants.
Right.
That's what the grocery store does, you know?
Yeah. It's and it's fascinating. I always think one of the most powerful things that any customer can feel is when they're treated like a regular.
Yes.
It's like
Yes.
I mean, it's the comic version of it, but if you're treated like Norm at Cheers, that's the place you want to go. I mean, it's just because it has real power. Um, so I'm curious, what are things you like to cook? Because you do a lot of different kinds of stuff. I mean, you've got a soul food cookbooks. When you like to cook, when you're cooking for yourself or just your friends, what do you like to make?
I like to make soups and stews. I love, like recently I was on this chicken and dumplings kick. So I started with pot pie and then I was making the crust. And then I said, well, let me do dumplings. I did flat dumplings, drop dumplings. And then I went into chili and like, how can I change it? Vegetarian chili, vegan chili, all the things. So I love stews. And the reason I love stews and coming back to the grocery store, I love all of the bits and bobs that go with it. Like I love the condiment bar. Like what are all the condiments that you can get to go with this thing? That is my favorite thing. I love when people fix their own dish. I have the pot, I have the condiments, and you make your own. It's interactive.
And again, this is great, but whether you're at home or in a store, the thing about the things you just described, first of all, they smell great, right?
Yes.
Which is powerful. And the other thing is that um they smell great for a long time, right?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
It's not like I'm gonna make a hamburger, it's gonna smell good for 5 minutes, right? It's gonna cook for 5 or 6 hours on the thing, and the aroma is everywhere.
Yeah.
And that's again power.
Yes. There is power in the olfactory senses. There's a reason that when realtors are selling a house, they put like cinnamon sticks and things like that on the stove to create an aroma and a feeling and sense of home. Um, yeah, it's very powerful.
Yeah. Again, it'll be a great message to send to retailers. I mean, when this grocery store I go into, an independent, they have a bakery at the front end. You smell the bread baking. You can't get, or you smell the cookies baking, and you can't get through that without being hungry. Which is
Yes.
like,
Yes.
isn't
Yes.
that the goal?
It's the goal. I mean, okay. So to this point, because I love going to plays. I told you about my love of theater. So when you went to see Waitress, they piped the smell of the baked pies into the audience.
Hang on. Not
Uh-oh.
that. They would sell they would sell pies. This has a candle in it because my daughter makes candles, but that's right. They would sell the pies for a
Yes.
couple of bucks. But we're all sitting in the audience eating pie. How
Yes.
it can
Yeah.
be.
I can't believe that I mentioned the one thing that you have a prop to show. You're like, wait. No, but it's yes. And can you imagine if, oh my God, I'm getting so excited about this. When you walk into a hotel and they have the signature fragrance,
Right?
how about some of these stores having a signature food smell to draw people in? That is the thing. I want to go to that store.
Right. Right. Yeah. Because it makes you hungry. It creates lines. It creates a sense of theater. It's
Yes.
and it creates a sense, and it does create a sense of community, all of which are things that I think that independent stores, again, the audience largely at NGA, they can do better than the big stores because big stores have other issues and they can do certain things really well. But especially in a world where everybody in your audience is competing with, Kroger, Albertsons, Costco, Walmart, and Amazon, and we're talking about, the big five, this is the stuff they can do. This is where the magic happens.
You are getting me to thinking. If I could do right in this moment, if I could do a talk, you know what I would call it? Shop with your senses. I ask people to cook with their senses, to be engaged with their food, right? So when you go into a grocery store, it's very visceral. It's like the things that you see. Generally, you start with produce, which is the most colorful section of the store. And then like things that you see, and you're touching things and you're smelling things. And then if you can taste things. So it's an experience. I mean, you have to shop with your senses. And that's the reason that I always do my own shopping. I can't, maybe one time I ordered food. I ordered food to come in, but I like to feel and touch the food that I purchase.
Oh. Listen, this has been delightful. I've had so much fun. I can't wait to your keynote. I'm really looking forward to seeing you there. And again, to everybody, it's on Sunday, March 10th at the National Grocers Association show in Las Vegas. Carla Hall, thank you so much for doing this. On top of everything else, I'm now hungry.
I know, right? Look, I want a waitress candle.
Hey, listen, take care, and I'll see you in Vegas.
See you in Vegas.
Thanks again.